Welcome to Modern Musings, conversations with the maiden, mother, and crone, looking at ourselves and the world through the lens of the 21st century. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Modern Musings. I'm your host, Amber Jones, and I'm here with my co-host, Kristen Hessler and Cindy Murray.
Hello.
Hey.
And today we have a fun podcast. We are talking about wedding planning and funny stories from wedding planning.
Oh, boy.
As everyone knows, about 5 months ago, close to 5 months ago, I got married.
1, 2,
Yeah.
4.
4?
4.
I get, 4 months ago, I guess. Wow. I got married, and then how long has it been for you, Kristen?
Almost 4 years.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. So I guess we were going to talk about some funny stories from planning our weddings.
All right.
Yeah. Gosh. It's so weird to not be planning a wedding because I
feel like you've been doing it forever and ever.
I planned a wedding for so long. Now it feels weird to just kind of sit back. And it's funny because for a while there we were getting returned invitations in the mail.
Oh.
Yeah, because
people didn't give you the current address or
whatever. Or something, or just the mail in Fort Worth really.
The mail in general, I think.
I remember when you sent out your invitations, like, people weren't getting them right away.
Yeah.
It took a long time.
Yeah, it took a long time for people to get them. And then now we're getting, then we started getting invitations returned back to us saying no such address on, like, perfectly good addresses and stuff like that. It was just like...
I get that, too. I some of my Christmas stuff was that way, and I'm just now getting them, and it's kind of weird. It's like, why did it take so long for that to come back? We're talking months ago.
Yeah, months ago.
Yeah.
And the same with, like, it took forever to get our RSVPs back as well. So,
weird.
Yeah, that was really interesting. Like, we were still getting RSVPs after our wedding because...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the mail, like, just this last year has just been horrible.
It's a...
It's a dying thing. I mean, the post office probably isn't as...
well, we don't even get our mail until, like,
it used to be.
7 o'clock at night now.
Yeah.
Like, normally the mail is there by 4 p.m., or it used to be.
Yeah.
Now...
Mine's erratic. Sometimes I won't get anything for the day, and then the next day I'll get like a whole huge stack. And, and it's really funny because we subscribe to that informed delivery through the post office, and they tell you what's coming in your mail that day, and it'll have this whole list of stuff, and then I'll get no mail that day, but the next day I'll get all that mail plus all the stuff from the next day.
Yeah. And I was getting like on the informed delivery, I was getting that, hey, you're getting these RSVPs, and then they never would show up.
Yeah.
And then they never would show up, and then they never would show up. So I was having to contact these people anyway, and I'm like, well, it said on informed delivery that you sent your RSVP, but it never actually made it to my house.
Yeah.
And so I'm surprised anybody even showed up to my wedding.
You had quite a few people at your wedding.
there were a lot of people that showed up to the wedding. Yeah. Even the venue said that it was the most that had ever RSVP'd to a wedding there.
Wow.
So we had...
Yeah, you broke the rule of whatever 30% or whatever 40% or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Now, granted, not all of these people that RSVP'd showed up, but especially those on my side.
But you were still full. I mean,
we were
almost
full,
at capacity. So yeah.
Which, and then people would RSVP, and they'd like RSVP members of their family. Or people would contact me and be like, how many people can I RSVP for? And I'm like, you and your significant other.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, I wanted to bring this person and this person. And I'm like,
they didn't get invited.
Yeah, I know. It was
people,
just like.
Do people not have etiquette? Do they not understand that etiquette?
Yeah, I know. And I'm just like, yeah, but we only have a limited number of seats, so you can't bring your whole family.
Right.
I mean, we did end up having some extra seats, but not that many extra seats.
Mm-mm.
And then, like, some of the people, like, didn't end up bringing the people that they said that they were going to bring.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Because you shouldn't RSVP for other people. They should RSVP for themselves.
Well, yeah, like...
if they're invited.
Yeah, they, it was this one couple that we invited, and then they RSVP'd for their 2 kids, even though their kids were not invited. And then... they contacted me and they're like, can we bring my son's girlfriend and her 3 kids? And
after it said very clearly on the invitation, no children. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was interesting. Like, those are some interesting things that I went through as far as
people
planning
like to go to
concerned.
weddings, though. That's like a party,
well,
you know?
Yeah.
It's free food. I think that's what it is. Free food, free booze, dancing. Yeah.
And that's what I wanted it to be, was this one big party and dancing. And I don't know, a lot of people left before the food was served because the glitch that only the appetizers got served until late, because our caterer's like a help, no called, no showed, so she had to do it all by herself.
Yeah, well, your appetizers were all like displayed like freely out on the table, like for open graze, and so she was like really having to like hand clean all of that and put it all away. So she was doing it all by herself. And I know those like little appetizer tables are kind of hard to clean up.
Yeah.
Because she literally had to like clean off the table and use the same tablecloth to put all the hot food.
Yeah, that was difficult to do for one person. Yeah.
You had good food, though.
Yeah, it was really good food.
It was good food.
It was different.
Especially those brown butter donuts.
Yeah, that was another unique thing that I'm glad that I did, was have the breakfast for dinner. And a lot of people, like, I got a lot of pushback on that. Like, you shouldn't do that. That's not
It's not what they wanted. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. And I was like, I went through like this whole process of freaking out and like, what would other people want? And then I had this big meltdown where I just kind of went crazy. And then I was just like, I'm going to do what I want.
Well, you should. It's your
and
wedding.
Then I did. And I'm glad I did, because I had all of my favorite things at my wedding. I had a really great caterer. And it's funny because I think like she was the first caterer that we tried the food. It wasn't the first person that I talked to. The first person that I talked to, no, actually, I was going to use Kristen's caterer for her wedding. And right as I was contacting them, that catering company went belly up.
Ugh.
And there was like all crazy because they didn't. I wonder what ever happened with that, because they weren't returning any deposits or anything like that. Like, they went bankrupt.
There was several of those kind of things that happened during your wedding.
Yes.
Yeah.
We would start going in one direction, and then we'd have to switch with our officiant as well. Like, we had an officiant, and then they canceled, and we had to go a different way.
My officiant canceled too.
Yeah. And the second caterer that we were going to book also canceled. They were, before we even got to have our meeting, they were like, well, we already booked that date.
Well, and you had problems with David's Bridal
Oh,
and
yeah.
Al's Formal
Both
Wear,
of
right?
your-
both of your clothing.
Clothing places went out of business.
Yeah, David's Bridal, luckily, we got all that taken care of. I remember there was a struggle there. But yeah, we had picked out suits and everything at Al's Formal Wear, and then they just shut their doors.
Yeah.
And we paid deposits on suits and everything, and nothing. Like, Jason's mom had to talk with her bank and try to get that money back.
Yeah.
Like, they just shuttered.
I was really worried because when you bought your dress, like next week, they were like, "Oh, we're going out of business. We filed bankruptcy,"
know.
and I was like, "Oh, we need to go get our dresses or whatever." And you still needed to get it like altered and stuff, and I was just so afraid you were going to get it altered at David's Bridal and have like their seamstresses there, you know, have it in their back room, and then they would like lock the doors, and then your dress would be just sitting there
because you would not
legally.
be the first person
you can't
that
get,
has happened
yeah,
to.
you can't
that was
retrieve it once they go bankrupt. Like that stuff belongs to the bank.
Yeah,
and you can't have it because it's asset.
Yeah, that was a big worry also. That was like one thing that I worried about. But
it turned out okay.
It turned out okay, and I actually put off getting it altered a really long time because I was seeing if David's Bridal was going to just shut their doors.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, but finally, after talking with them, and they actually altered it really quickly, like.
So, the bridesmaid's dress, we bought those in like April. It was like way early, and it was like better get it now while I can, you know. Let me just pay for it, and then I'll worry about the alterations in like October. Right? She's looking at me like, So, like, yeah, I'll do it, like, in October. That'll give me plenty of time before it gets busy up into Christmas. And, girl, I just forgot about them. They were in the closet, and it was, like, every weekend. I was like, oh, yeah, I need to take that to the tailor. Well, literally.
Y'all were griping at me about getting alterations.
I forgot that mine needed to be altered.
I forgot all about it because, like, so much was going on, like, in October and November with all the decorations, and work was getting really heavy. And I was thinking about like, ooh, I need to start packing my stuff. Oh my God, my dress needs to be altered. Thursday. It was Wednesday. Sorry, it was like the Wednesday before your wedding.
Man, Noni, I think she told me she picked her dress up that Friday.
Yeah, I picked it up on Friday. Yeah.
I did not get mine altered at all because I forgot that it did.
Yeah.
I forgot that I had ordered a different size. And then on top of that, I lost weight. And so it was like super huge. And mine was a pantsuit. So, you know, so I had these pants and Noni was helping. I think it was it was Noni's mom helped me pin up my pants.
Noni's mom, yeah.
Thank goodness. We had my pants like super safety pinned up under the blouse and stuff because it was just falling off of me.
We were talking about, you know, RSVPs for people that were not invited. Like Noni, a few weeks before the wedding, she says to Jason, she goes, "My mom really wants to come to the wedding." And Jason loves Noni's mom. And so he was like, okay. And I was like, why did you do that? Like, we're at capacity. But
I'm glad. A lifesaver.
I know. I am glad Noni brought her mom.
Noni's mom was like the only calm woman in that.
I know. She fixed everybody's dress.
Chill. She was like, "I'm over here if you need help."
She was the sweetest thing.
She did. She tied.
Now
all
I know
of
where
her
Noni
dresses
gets
in the back.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. She fixed everybody's dress, and then Noni saved the day as well with my makeup because I was putting on my eyeliner and I went and there was black all over my eye. Noni is a mortician, by the way, so she knows how to do makeup on things. So she comes in and she saves my eye makeup and then turns it into something really pretty. And then
you did look very, very pretty.
Yeah, so
if y'all don't believe me, go to
makeup.
her Facebook page or whatever and look at all of Amber's pictures. She's
Look
gorgeous.
at my blog. I will write a blog about this and post pictures. But yeah, it was she saved the day, and then my hairdresser Denise's daughter, she brought her daughter as her +1 to the wedding, and every time we needed something, she had it in her school backpack.
She did.
Yeah, she was
that.
like, we need tiny scissors. I have them. Or something
did.
else,
We were walking around with
pencil. I
school
have
scissors.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like every time we lost something, I have this in my backpack. And that was pretty cool too. But yeah, good times. Probably and I don't want to dominate this conversation. Anybody wants to step in, but like funniest story, I think like the most memorable thing would be that I think it was like the night before I lost one of my contacts, or sometime during the weekend I lost one of my contacts, and so I wore my glasses all weekend, and I thought I have these backup contacts in my travel bag that I always carry with me, so I wasn't even worried about it. So I go to like put the morning of, I go to put my contacts on, and I realized that they were empty packages inside my travel bag because I had used them at Hobby House.
And then you didn't replace them.
When we went on the retreat. I didn't replace them. And so I was like, well, then I guess I'm just going to be walking around with one eye because I wasn't going to wear my glasses. So my whole wedding, I went around only being able to see out of one eye. So, Kristen, I know you got married 4 years ago, but are there any funny stories that you want to share about yours?
Well, I remember that we had this like vision. Well, everybody does, right?
Yeah.
Like the theme. And there was a couple of things that we were just like for a year searching for.
Oh, yeah.
And so one of the things was shutter doors. We wanted to put shutter doors behind my cake. So
not shutter doors, screen doors.
Screen doors, you know,
or
something like
old
that.
Wooden doors,
to have that
screen
shabby
doors.
chic kind of look.
Mm-hmm.
So I was envisioning shutter doors.
Oh,
but
okay.
You were envisioning screen doors. So apparently we were on the wrong.
Well, we didn't find them anyway.
I know, we couldn't ever find them. And so we finally settled for, we were going to just do like a backdrop with some fabric, like sheer or something. And my dad was like.
We made all the shears to go on it.
And my dad was like, oh, you don't need to buy that. I'll make one for you. So he made one out of PVC pipe.
According to directions that we saw online.
Yeah, but the legs were so long on it. But the funny thing is that we forgot it.
Yes.
So
I do remember that.
the wedding venue was like an hour away from our house.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
And so we drove all the way up there and we were setting up and we're like, oh my gosh, we forgot it. So my dad had to drive back to go get it. By the time he brought it back, put it together, we realized that it didn't fit because the legs were so long that
people would be tripping on it and
it didn't work. It didn't look right. So we were just like, forget it. So basically, like, we lost one helping hand the whole day.
Yes.
Because he was gone, like, first, because it took so long. And it was just like, it was a waste of time. And so that was really funny to me because it was like, what a waste.
Right.
And the other one was, as far as like decorations go, we wanted to do like a sign with a palette and paint the palette white and then have a sign on it. And basically I just wanted to tell people that the seating is open instead of assigned bride and groom side. And so we were looking and looking and looking for palettes because I always see them just like tossed out by garbage cans. But every time we were driving around, couldn't find a palette anywhere to save our lives, or if we did, it was broken.
When you're looking,
and there were not any for sale.
Just like the shutters and the screen doors.
They were not for sale anywhere, and it was just like impossible. And we finally did find one. But now, my husband and I, after looking for like a year for a palette, now we see them everywhere. So anytime we're in the car and we're driving, we're like, hey, look at that giant pile of pallets. And there'll be like 50 pallets stacked up on the side of the road.
See, I was about to say, I always see pallets.
Yeah, I see them all the time.
Keep in
now.
mind that they're not always free for the taking either.
Yeah.
Just because they're out there doesn't mean that they're
but I mean, like, we go
yeah.
looking for trash cans and stuff where they are like thrown away and stuff. But yeah, they're really for shipping and stuff like that.
Yeah, and a lot of times they reuse them. So
exactly, or they have to send them back, and they're stacked up there so someone can come pick them up. But yeah, I mean, but even like trying to buy one online, we weren't seeing them, and that was like,
and you know, that's the weird thing, like, and that was like a really common. People were doing that. We saw all kinds of them on Pinterest and stuff where people had painted these signs on these pallets, and people were buying pallets,
making pallet furniture,
doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so we have this pallet left over. It's still in my freaking garage 4 years later, because we came back and we thought, okay, we'll just turn it. It's already made. There's nothing wrong with this pallet. It's got this nice little sign on it. We'll just offer it up for sale, you know, or whatever. Nobody wants it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants it.
But we're like, I'm keeping this pallet because it took a long time to find it. I'm not letting it go. Yeah.
It's like
I mean, well, and that and all the vinyl we put on that.
Yeah.
Sitting in my house right now.
Right. You need to make a ring toss or something out of that.
You need to make something out of the huge donut
giant
wall.
Plinko.
Oh, there you go. Giant Plinko. Yeah.
Stacy would be like, so what'd you do with the donut wall? Oh, we play Plinko every now and then.
I'm telling you, I think it would be great for coffee cups.
Right.
If you can mount it to the studs on the wall and just make a giant coffee cup wall.
There you go. Have all your collector cups.
It definitely, that was another funny story, because like I sent Stacy these dimensions, or like my idea, and I'm really bad at like thinking about, well, I'm not really bad. Like I don't know how to describe it. But I sent Stacy these dimensions for the donut wall, and I measured the donuts and said, this is like what it's like, you know. And so then Stacy was going to come with her husband, Chris, in his truck. And the donut wall apparently, you know, was too big to put in a normal car.
Right.
And so she was going to come in his truck, and his truck breaks down. And so then Stacy's like, well, how are we going to get the donut wall out? And so I had to, the week before the wedding, I kind of had to like play musical people, because Jason had to drive all the way to Vernon to pick up Stacy and the donut wall, because they only had one car because his truck broke down, and then he was working, so they had to come later. So I had to send Jason all the way to Vernon to pick up Stacy and the donut wall, and then we had to pick up Joy from the airport, and then Mark from the airport at 2 different times. And then Jessica and Joshua were also coming in that day. So it was like, oh, well, Noni's going to pick up Mark at this time. I'm going to pick up Joy at this time. Jason's mom's going to pick up Jessica and Joshua at this time. And then it's just going to be musical people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a lot of planning.
Yeah, it was like, it was a lot of last minute things. And then that Friday before the wedding, it was so stressful. Well, it wasn't stressful, but everybody was trying to get a hold of me and ask me a question. And I just like ended up having to give Stacy my phone, and I'm like, here's the passcode. I'm driving. You can, you know, like you could text. Yeah. So, like, when y'all were texting me and asking me questions and everything like that, it was actually Stacy talking to y'all, because I'm like, I can't do this and drive, because I do
that with Ashley all the time. So.
Well, Jason and I had to swap vehicles as well, which
so you couldn't use your texting thing.
Yeah,
with your
my car texting thing, and it was also pouring down rain when we were trying to. Oh, another funny story with that is that Jason and I were swapping cars so I could carry the donut wall, and everything else, all of the linens and everything in his SUV. So he gets up and he goes to work and he takes his SUV, not my car, but his SUV. So Stacy and I and Mark, in the pouring rain, had to pack my car full of stuff and then drive all the way to Jason's work and pack his car and then swap out cars.
Oh, gosh.
And then make it to the airport to pick up Joy and somehow pack all of her stuff in there. And then pick up the linens.
Mm-hmm.
So Joy was like sitting in the back of Jason's SUV with linens all around her head and like crushed in linens. And then
Did you get a picture of that?
Yes, I got a picture of that. Yeah. So Joy's sitting with all the linens and all of everything. And it was just the funniest thing. And then we were driving and Joy's like, you know what? I'm hungry. And Stacy's like, you know what? I'm hungry too. So we like pull into this drive-through with the car stuffed full of stuff, and we order this food, and like we're all like passing food around, and Joy can barely move. And we came out here to get my dress, which you ended up taking the dress anyway.
Right.
But Joy couldn't even get out of the car to come in. Because she was covered in linens when I came in that day to get the dress.
And your husband forgot to ask off for work.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Well, I mean, he was off for the wedding day, but he was
he
working while we were setting up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what was it? We went in to set up on Saturday, yeah, and he had forgotten to ask off for work on Saturday, so he had to go into work, which I guess is a good thing because Jessica was like really yelling at all the guys.
Yeah.
Which they kind of came in and saved the day on that, even though it was like 20 minutes until we were about to leave. The groomsmen finally showed up to put the lights up at the venue. But gosh, it all turned out great.
It did.
It did.
Turned out really well.
Like it all just kind of fell together and turned out great.
Yeah.
It was a really great day.
It was a lot of fun. Your whole wedding experience from the bachelorette party, the whole weekend thing was really fun, and it was almost like
it was the best
picturesque weekend. Movie. You could make a movie about it. It was funny.
Well, I always have to have those funny experiences, Kristen.
Unmentionable fun experiences.
Right?
Oh.
Right, author of my bachelorette party. No, it was great. It was hilarious. That whole weekend was hilarious. And then one of the groomsmen ended up having to stay with us at our Airbnb because there was not enough room.
That was entertaining.
Yeah, he was entertaining.
He was officially became one of the bride tribe. Yeah.
So, Mark, if you're listening, you're part of the bride tribe.
Oh, he already knows that. We got a picture with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun. The wedding was so pretty. I have all these people because, you tagged me in your pictures. And so people who don't even know you
have been coming
up to me and telling me what a beautiful wedding it was and everything. And I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I said, that was Amber's vision.
Yeah. Travis's aunt was looking at the pictures too, because I guess Travis was tagged in the pictures, or maybe because I was tagged in them, and so she was looking at them and commenting, and I was like, wow, you're worldwide, Amber.
Right? Everybody's
yeah,
I don't know, maybe we should start a wedding planning business.
No, heck no.
No, thank you.
No.
And it's just so funny, your wedding as well, we both we design these things just from looking at pictures on Pinterest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're actually very good at it, I think.
Yeah.
I think we're good at it, but it is a lot of work.
And then, like, the backdrop that Kristen did for my wedding, she found a picture on Pinterest and made it from scratch.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's, and then, what was it? Like, you found the picture on Canva, right? Or no, it was a silhouette to make the invitations.
The invitations, yeah. Yeah.
And so it was, I wasn't at first sure I could do the DIY bride thing, but I think it turned out pretty well.
I think it turned out really well. I was going to laugh, though, because I do remember that the night before the wedding, we were still putting together the bridesmaids bouquets.
No, not the bridesmaids.
Oh, it was the bride's bouquet. I'm sorry,
bouquet.
you're right.
So, like,
yeah we were a little bit late on that.
The bridesmaids bouquets got made the week before.
That's right. That's right.
Well, see, and that was a funny story as well, is that I had this whole idea for a bridal bouquet and work. And I was just like, I'm going to do it myself. And I had videos and everything, and I had all the stuff to do it. And then I just got swamped at work and swamped in life and swamped in everything.
Yeah. Those crafts take a lot of time too.
I think that's what people don't realize. That
you're just gonna bunch
DIY
these flowers
is
together.
Gorgeous, but it does take a lot of time.
The videos make it look like I can make that in 30 minutes, but it really takes
months
way longer.
Making the things for Kristen's wedding. We took months making the things for your wedding.
Well, I mean, it was interesting, because Stacy comes. And she's like, okay, we'll put it together. We'll get it done. We'll put it together. And I think the one that y'all were like really like, y'all were perfecting the one. So we lay all the stuff out at my house. And then like Mark and Noni showed up. And Mark sits down and he's like, okay, we've got this. And it didn't turn out to like how I initially wanted it. But at that point, I was just like, I just need something to carry down the aisle. And so like Mark puts together.
Yeah, it wasn't Noni though. Was it Joy or Stacy?
It was Mark and Stacy. They sat there and we all three sat there and just kind of like worked it out to make it look pretty good.
And it was really pretty.
Stacy and Kristen finished it the night before and made my little tiny one to
your
toss.
Tosser.
But we stayed up that Thursday night before the bachelorette, kind of like poking flowers and putting flowers together and wrapping flowers together.
Yeah, lots of blood, sweat, and tears.
But I mean, my bouquet was, I went in order, making stuff order of importance,
Yeah, that's the smart way to do it.
We did the things that were must-haves first, and then worked our way down the line. And there were things that got sacrificed. Like we really wanted to hang those gold stars from the ceiling, but
we ran out of time to.
Really, like that was a lot bigger bite than I really thought about. Except when you think about, you had like 18 or 20 tables, and then when you think about, in order for it to have the effect that you want, you would need
a lot of
like 15 stars at least over each table, because these are like 10-foot rounds. So or not 10 foot, 8 foot,
10
6 or something. Yeah,
10 man
10
rounds,
person table. Yeah. So you need like 15 stars hanging. So how many stars is that? Like, okay, yeah, you can make them, but how long is it going to take you to hang them?
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be over the table. So do you have to move the table to get the ladder there? It's a little bit more cumbersome if you don't. So then it takes even longer to hang them. And I was just like, you know what? I could sit and make all of these stars tonight and cut them all out of the gold paper, but to actually like hang them, we wouldn't have even had time. So I was just like, I'm not going to do them because we couldn't.
Yeah, and that was
I have a bunch of
and that's one of the things
I already cut out. Yeah,
that I find with like the venues, because they give you such limited time to do the decorating, and then they give you such limited time to take everything down.
Yeah,
I mean, can you imagine having to take all of those stars down?
Yeah, that would
in
have been
that
really
short
hard.
amount of time.
The only thing I could think of is if they were all tied
on a string,
on a long string, and then you
You just roll
end
the
to
string.
end. Yeah, that's really the only way I could think of making it faster.
But when you see things, when you see pictures of these very elaborately decorated ceilings
one table
in these weddings, it's like, how long did it take them to do that? And how is it that they managed to get that venue for that long? Or how
Probably
many
had to pay
man
those
hours?
people were
1,000
using
extra.
companies decorating.
Oh yeah,
companies.
for
Right.
sure.
Right.
Well, my initial thought for that was getting like a one light up star to go over each table, but that was just going to be way too expensive.
Right.
Because, like you said, 18 tables, and probably the cheapy light up star was going to be $15.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be like $15 per table.
Yeah.
And the ones that I had originally envisioned were like $50 stars.
Right.
And there's no... And I wanted to spend my money on other things.
Right.
Like food.
Yeah.
Because that was my number one priority, other than the venue, was food.
Mm-hmm.
And I do want to give a shout out. And, of course, we can link my caterer and my photographer and anybody else. But I want to give a big shout out to Tiffany Reed of Personalized Grazing. She is the absolute best, the best caterer. I love her so much.
And then where'd you get your donuts from?
And I got my donuts from the Salty in Bishop Arts in Dallas.
So good.
I know.
I do not normally like cake donuts. I like raised fried donuts,
Mm-hmm.
But those brown butter donuts were like to die for.
Oh, yeah.
If you ever drive by there, you better bring me another donut because they were so good.
Now I want to go back by there because they have new specials like every month or so, and they've got like a lemon cream donut that I've been wanting to try.
Ooh, that's my favorite flavor, lemon.
I know.
See, and Raina loves donuts, but she only likes like one type of donut. She only likes the plain chocolate ones. So I've taken her to like fancy donut places, and she's like, it's wasted money because she doesn't like them. She just wants like the regular old like dollar donut. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I want to go to some of these fancy donut places because they have some that are like peanut butter and bacon.
Yeah.
Well,
maple.
go get your fancy donut and just get her a plain chocolate one. What
Most
difference?
She
donut
doesn't
places-
like the plain chocolate ones at the fancy donut places.
What?
Really?
Yeah, because they don't make them plain enough. Yeah, at the fancy donut places. The fancy donut places don't really have plain donuts. Yeah.
Yeah, they just it would be like the Salty has a chocolate donut, but it would be that brioche donut,
and
that
she
would
wouldn't
not
like that
because it's
Yeah.
not like the donut bread
Dough.
or whatever.
Yeah.
dough.
Yeah. That's the kind of donuts that I like, actually. Like Krispy Kremes.
Yeah.
Hot off of the conveyor
Now
belt.
we're all like, donuts.
I know, right?
So funny story on my wedding. Travis, I guess, like got really nervous, and when he gets nervous, he gets like where he's like stiff and immobile, and like he's under shock. And when
I've seen that.
when I came down the aisle, it was interesting because it wasn't what I envisioned. Normally, the bride walks down the middle of the aisle.
Yeah, you came from the side.
I did, which was weird. And I was like, I didn't like it, but everybody actually got to see me walk down the aisle instead of everyone having to stand up and turn around and
everybody saw you
coming
up
from
far away in the carriage.
Yes. So I came in on a horse-drawn carriage with my dad. And so that was actually not like anything I had ever dreamed of. Like that's something that people dream about. Like, oh, when I get married, I'm going to have a horse-drawn carriage, And that was like far from what I had ever wanted. But when I thought about it, I was like, oh,
it was offered by the venue.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh my God, I want to do it. I know.
You're so very
it had
cute.
never crossed my mind. But then it was like, I can do that.
These
Heck yeah.
gorgeous Frisian horses.
Yeah.
That were actually featured in the movie
Hunger
the
Games.
the second Hunger Games.
Yeah,
movie.
Catching Fire. Yeah.
Catching Fire.
They're actually the horses that were like on fire. that they came like riding in on.
That was her horses.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
Like, yeah, that was really cool. So yeah,
but that wasn't even the reason why. It was just like, oh, you could do that. So I was like, okay, yeah, I want to do that. And so the whole time I was thinking I would like get out of the horse and carriage and then like walk down the aisle like traditionally. And they were like, oh no, we're gonna park you off over here on the side. And it was weird because I'm getting in the horse-drawn carriage at the front of the venue and everybody else is in the back of the venue. They even with the officiant and the people that I designated to kind of like tell them, okay, we're ready to go, there was a little bit of a disconnect there. So the horse person drawing the horse person, what is that called? Buggy master? I don't know. Driver.
The driver
Sure.
of the carriage, yes. The owner of the horses.
So the driver of the carriage was waiting for the DJ to start playing the music, and the DJ wasn't sure when to play the music because he was like, okay, what's going on? Right. I guess there was a little bit of confusion there. And so we kind of sat there and waited, and then so we started taking the horse carriage, and it was supposed to be like for me and my dad to just kind of go off a little bit and ride the carriage and then come around this big loop. And we came around the big loop and there wasn't anybody there. And it was like, oh, we got to go back. And so it was like, ooh, they got a little peek of me, but we had to like turn around really quick and go back. And then we sat in the woods and waited for a little bit. And then it was like, okay, now we can go. And so then we came back and we got out of the carriage. And my dad walked me down the aisle, and then he took me and put me right next to Travis. And Travis was like stiff, and my dad literally had to get behind him and like push him into like stand next to me. So that was really funny because it was just kind of like, get up there, marry my daughter like you're supposed to, That was really funny. And Raina was like at that age where she knew how to behave, but would forget, like a time and a place. And I think she went up with Ashley and Amber to go stand at the front. And then y'all were standing and waiting, and she was like talking to herself or dancing or singing or something, and you and Ashley were telling her like shh, so I got some pictures of y'all telling her to be quiet. So the kids always surprise you, like they don't do one of the boys wouldn't tuck his shirt in and he's really tall. And so he's like a string bean, and I think his vest got too small for him. He grew, and he refused to tuck his shirt in for the pictures. Like he was having a moment about having his shirt tucked in. And one of the I guess he was like our ring bearer. In all of our pictures, he's got his shirt all tucked out and hanging out underneath his vest. So it's really cute because it's like, you could tell like, oh yeah, he didn't want to have his shirt tucked in. Didn't Dubby?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. When it was time to go down the aisle, when I'm walking out and everybody's walking down the aisle and leaving, when it's time for Dubby, our ring bearer, to walk down the aisle, he's like running around screaming. And his mom, my cousin Pamela, is chasing him. And so then Addie and Maddie were just standing there like, what do we do? And I'm like, y'all just walk. Just go. Just don't worry about Dubby.
I know, when I was like 5 years old, I was the flower girl in one of my mom's cousin's weddings. And the only thing I really remember about it is that my mother and my grandmother just kept admonishing me, don't scratch, be really still, don't scratch. Because I'm like, I don't know why, but if you tell me not to scratch, that's when I'm going to be itchy. I'm going to itch. And I remember just standing there just going, don't scratch, don't scratch, don't scratch. I don't know if I did or not. I can't remember. But that was the only thing I could think of. The whole wedding was just like, don't scratch, don't scratch, don't scratch.
That's cute.
It's hard being a kid in a wedding. It's like you don't understand what's going on, and you're just like, I don't want to do this. Yeah.
The funniest pictures though, like, were of Raina's face.
Oh gosh, that was
Oh
so
my
cute.
gosh. So there's a picture of her walking back after the wedding, coming back up the aisle with the
Alex.
Was he like
He's a junior groomsman.
Junior groomsman? Okay,
yeah.
yeah. So they're both like 13 or whatever. And Raina, when you look at the picture, she looks like she's like snarling, like, ew.
Ew, I'm touching a boy.
But when you really look at the picture and you really like study her face, she is trying so hard not to smile. She's got her lips pierced together because she's trying not to grin. So she's like,
She's like, ooh,
she's got like
boy.
she's got like sour pickle face, you know. And so I love that picture because at first you're like, oh, I hate this, but it's really like, oh my god, you know. So it's super cute.
Yeah, it was a source of much amusement looking at the faces of her and Alex.
I'm glad. I'm glad it made you laugh and not like go, dang.
No, it was
choice.
great. It was great. Like, her and Alex were really funny, and Jason's little niece Maddie, she was adorable, and she was kind of at that age, like the don't scratch age, and it was just like we didn't know exactly what she was gonna do. We didn't know how it was gonna play out, what she was gonna do, and she was great that whole time. Like, she danced all night.
Oh my gosh. You want to talk about flower girl problems?
And kids, things
And
that
kids
they do that you don't
So,
expect them to do.
When I married Mark, Kristen was 4 years old, and she had the most beautiful honey blonde hair. It was really long and curly and just gorgeous hair.
Mm-hmm.
And like maybe a week or two before the wedding, she decided to I don't know what she was thinking. Do you remember what you were thinking?
I remember that day very well.
Okay. Well, so why don't you tell us?
So I was
what you were
taking a
thinking?
bath, and my mom was cooking dinner, and I was done with my bath, and I said, "I'm done with my bath."
I don't remember you being in the bath.
And you were like, "Okay, I'm coming," and then you were obviously busy cooking dinner. So in like the 30 seconds that I waited, I decided to cut my hair.
Yeah.
All of it.
So she
All of
climbs.
it.
You cut all of it off?
Well, okay.
All but one hair.
Yeah, pretty much. She climbed on top of the toilet, and then on top of the bathroom cabinet, and reached in the cabinet up above the sink, up above the toilet. So it's like the highest cabinet in the bathroom is where I kept my hair cutting scissors. And she climbed all the way up there, got the scissors, got back down. I don't think you called me I don't think you were taking a bath. I think you were just in the bathroom. But anyway, she climbed all the way up there, climbed all the way back down, and then proceeded to pull all of her hair forward in front of her and cut it. So everything that she could see, she cut off. And the only thing that was left was this one little tail in the back because she couldn't pull it around far enough to make it short. And I mean, we're talking the hair on the front of her head was like an inch long. and lucky for me, I was a hairdresser and was able to fix it and make it look kind of cute. So she had a cute little pixie at the wedding. But yeah, she cut all.
You cried so hard.
I did. It was gorgeous hair, and she cut it off, and I was just, and it terrified me because she had climbed all the way up on those cabinets. I thought that those scissors were safe up there in that really high cabinet because she couldn't reach it, and she climbed all the way up there, and the only thing I could think of was that if she had fallen while she was climbing down with those scissors, she could have killed herself, and. Yeah. You're looking at me like, oh, I never thought of that. But yeah, and it was just horrifying, and I just boo-hooed. But you were not taking a bath because you had your clothes on, so I remember that now.
I just remember being in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Thought I was taking a bath.
No, I wouldn't have
Got
left you. You were only 4. I would not have left you in the bath
by
yourself.
True.
Yeah.
True.
I don't know where you got the bath thing. Maybe you did something else naughty while you were taking a bath when you were older. I don't know. You were a very
I climbed on things.
You were a very precocious child. Stuff. You did a lot of things that you just kind of took off and did what you wanted to do.
Yeah. So right before your wedding.
Yeah, right before the wedding.
Didn't Dad's groomsmen get like really riled up or rambunctious? Like after the wedding?
Oh, well, okay. So he was when they had the bachelor party, he was a no-show. The best man was a no-show for the bachelor party. And we didn't have a big wedding party. We had a best man, I had a matron of honor and a maid of honor, and the flower girl. That was it. We were very small. We got married at my mother-in-law's home, and so it was really small. But his best man, Chris, didn't show up. I don't know if we ever knew why he didn't show up for the bachelor party. Mark went looking for him after he and all his buddies had been drinking a little bit and got a little carried away, and they went looking for him and couldn't find him, and so we don't know what happened. But so after the wedding, all of the other guys decided they were going to get back at him, so they kind of beat him up. They didn't really beat him up. They like tackled him in the yard as we're going away. Everybody's throwing rice, or actually it was birdseed in our case. They're throwing the birdseed as we go out to the car, and you look over to the side, and they've all of the other male friends that were at the bachelor party had kind of like dogpiled on top of the best man, and were like horsing around with him because they wanted to get back at him for not showing up. And there's some really hilarious pictures of my mom. Yeah. My mom standing there crying, because her daughter got married. But you can see over her shoulder they're roughing up the groomsmen, and it looks like she's laughing but crying. So it looks like she's crying over him getting beat up, but it was not. It was pretty funny. So he deserved it. Yeah.
Well, I would say our best man probably almost got beaten up by Jessica a couple of times.
I know, yeah. Jessica was like, they're not here on time. What are they doing? They're not where they're supposed to be. She was really trying to help control them, because the bigger your wedding party is, the harder it is
to get
everybody in the same place. And everyone starts standing around waiting for that last person to show up, so then they can wander off and go do something else. Mm-hmm. And it's like, regroup, Yeah. And Jessica was really trying to get all of the groomsmen to come and help and stuff. And so she was really cracking the whip on them and stuff. And I didn't realize that Chris didn't show up to the bachelor party. I can't imagine if Jessica had been there, what she would have done to Chris. She probably would have beat him up too.
Yeah. I don't know if all of Jason's groomsmen showed up to the bachelor party or not. I'm not sure.
Well, like I said, we only had one groomsman.
I know, man. That would make me so nervous that he wasn't going to show up to the wedding.
Yeah. Well, Mark was concerned about that for sure.
Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy.
But he did. He was there.
So, guys, what are we talking about next week?
Next week, we are talking about some fun pop culture. The Wizard of Oz versus Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, I love that.
So that one will be really interesting, because I think we are all three fans of both.
Yeah.
So,
I think so.
If you enjoyed The Lord of the Rings versus
Harry Potter,
yep. Or Star Wars versus Star Trek, then I think you will enjoy this one as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And so I want to hear from our listeners. Do you have any funny wedding stories from weddings that you've been in, or weddings that you had to plan or whatever? Come tell me all of your funny stories, and check out our blogs. Check out my blog for wedding pictures. I promise I will write one, Cindy.
Yeah, right. I'll believe it when I see it.
Okay, so yeah, check out my blog for wedding pictures and hit us up on MMC Chat. Give us a like and a share and some 5-star comments. We want to hear from you.
Yep, we do.
And on our way out, I want to thank Creative Audio Tech for our music.
Yes.
Bye, guys.
Bye.